We are about to learn the last two pronouns. Remember the song? All we have left is E and en. Now let's start with E. So E, which is how you pronounce this little Y here, is used to replace any location. So for example, we have Tu vas à Paris, you're going to Paris. Julien est devant l'école, Julien is in front of the school. And il veut rester dans sa chambre, he wants to stay in his room. Now they're not exactly the same type of location, but regardless, all of them will use the pronoun E or Y. So, tu vas à Paris, tu y vas, or oui, j'y vais. So now you notice here that we've got tu y and j'y. Don't change this to. It stays the way it is, otherwise you might get it confused with the pronoun te. So, tu plus y equals tu y, but if we have je, plus y, it gets an apostrophe, j. Okay? So, Julien est devant l'école. Oui, Julien, y est. And again, we have a Y here and an E here, but because this is a verb, you leave it alone. And il veut rester dans sa chambre. So now you have two verbs together, and you have to decide where the E goes. So does it go with il veut, he wants in his room, or he stays in his room? Il y reste. So il veut y rester. Now you might remember a really common phrase, il y a. This il y here is the there in there is. So il y a, there is, it's the same kind of Y. And look, it's going before a verb. Okay, if you use E in your imperative commands, you need to keep the S. Now this has to do with that whole rule of ER verbs with tu having to drop the S. When it's followed by an E, you need to keep it. Otherwise you get something that sounds really weird like va-i, that has a glottal stop and it's just really uncomfortable. So instead, you just keep the S that it originally had. You get a nice little liaison, vas-y. Nice little vas-y sound to it. So another example is rester, restez-y. So not only do you keep the S in the imperative, you pronounce it. I know, so weird. Restez-y. Another example, marche. Tu marches or marchez-y. Again, we have that little liaison sound. Now for en. En is used to replace a noun that is introduced by de or any form of de. So du, de la, de, l'apostrophe, de. And en refers mostly to things. So, tu as du chocolat, tu en as. Oui, j'en ai. Now again, you do not change this to, otherwise it looks like something else, so leave it alone, tu en. But the je is super malleable and it becomes j'en. Il part de la leçon, even though it's de la leçon and not du or de, it still becomes en. So, il en parle. He talks about it. Vous sortez de l'école? So we can have vous en sortez. And again, you have a little bit of a liaison sound here. Or nous en sortons. Wait. Now you can also use en with numbers or referring to a quantity of something. So in this case, en can refer to people. For example, tu as des frères. Frères are brothers. You have brothers. You can say tu as. But just like your le la le deal, you want to introduce what you're talking about before you just throw in a pronoun. Otherwise, we're not really sure what you're talking about. Like tu en as. If I just went up to someone and asked them tu en as, they wouldn't necessarily know what I'm asking them that they have. So, tu en as des frères? Tu en as? Oui. J'en ai. Now you can leave it at that. Yes, I have some. Or you can say oui, j'en ai trois. Yes, I have 3. So you can add a number in the back here, or you can just leave it as is. Il prend combien de cours? He takes how many classes? Il en prend. Now, for this one, you wouldn't just leave it at this. You wouldn't leave it at il en prend, because it's asking how many courses does he take? Yes, he takes some. It's a little vague and not very helpful. So you can say il en prend 5. He's taking 5. And then il a combien de DVD? If you're not really sure how many, but you think it's a lot, you can write il en a beaucoup. He has a lot. But again, it wouldn't be very nice to leave it at just il en a. He has some. Because it's asking how many. So now for practice. Tu prends des biscuits? You take some cookies? You can say oui, j'en prends. And you can add a number there just in case. Like, oh, I'll be good today. J'en prends 2. I'll take 2. Je suis allé à Montréal. Now, this one's a little bit more complicated because it's a passé composé, so there's 2 words we have to worry about, but it goes in front of the verb. So, j'y suis allé. And if I'm a girl, allez. Nous allons conduire à Vancouver. Now, allons conduire, that would be a futur proche because we have an aller and an infinitive. So we're going to drive to Vancouver. So, nous allons, because the important part is driving to Vancouver, nous allons y conduire. So your pronouns don't have to go in front of the conjugated verb. They have to go in front of the verb that makes sense. So in this case, drive to Vancouver rather than going future proche to Vancouver. Now, veux-tu manger des petits gâteaux? Do you want to eat cupcakes? Of course I want to eat cupcakes. Oui. Je veux en manger 10. I want to eat 10, but I'm probably not going to. All right, so that's it. Now you can get started working on your worksheets.